What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. As you can see in the background gameplay right here, we're going to be talking about the final warning Exotic Strand Sidearm that was released for us early because we complained enough about Strand that they ended up giving us all the fragments for Strand for classes, so you have to get all of them to unlock the quest, but we will go over that. This thing is absolutely gnarly inside of PvP with its tracking abilities and Strand, and then PvE as well with that synergy of unraveling enemies and all of those tangles. So let's get started with how to obtain this weapon first, and then we'll roll into a little review on this thing as well. So to start off, like I mentioned, you do have to head on over to the Hall of Heroes and that Polka Pond where we can unlock our Strand fragments. Now you have to unlock all of them for a single class, it says, to unlock this quest. So after you go in and, as you can see, unlock that final one to get them all unlocked, the Strand quest will pop up for final warning. This thing is absolutely insane, like I said, and the quest is only 7 steps, pretty easy to go through. So once the quest starts, after you grab all of those fragments, pretty much as all of them are starting this season, we head on over to our favorite Cloud Strider in Nimbus on Neomuna. He says that we need to then go search the Veil for containment for Strand gadgets. Now this is just a purely reach the area for the Veil, but it is a little farther than you would think, so follow this route down below that's been going on, and once you reach the area in here with the Shadow Legion, the quest will automatically update itself to defeat enemies in the area, and you will be able to tell which enemies they are. They have stuff pop up above their heads with little nodes so you can see, but it's that Shadow Legion that we have to defeat in the area. Couple different waves of them. We were actually here inside of the story as well, but it is pretty easy, these waves, ending with a Colossus fight at the very end wave. It's a yellow bar. That's how you know you're getting close to being done. Once you defeat that, it's not too terrible. The quest will update where we have to head on over to Typhon Impetrator, where we collect a Veil Spectrometer, actually, which is used inside of this weapon. Now it is, again, a little bit of travel, which seems pretty typical for this season quest so far, running around Neomuna to the different areas. But inside of this Veil Spectrometer in the Typhon Impetrator, you just have to defeat a nice wave of enemies like before, this time ending with a Tormentor, and let me tell you, this Tormentor is beefy. Like, it is a tank, so just take it nice and slow. Bring out that Wither Horde for tick damage if you can, because once it becomes enraged, it's just gonna keep jumping at you, doing its move, because it's a pretty small area, so you're gonna get suppressed decently often if you are standing close to that enemy when he does his slam, but it's not too terrible in the end. It is just a pretty beefy enemy, so it's gonna take a lot of hits to defeat, but when you do, he actually drops the Spectrometer, which is basically the outline for the final weapon right here in the sidearm. So once you defeat that Tormentor and collect that weapon frame or Veil Spectrometer, we have to head on over back to the Hall of Heroes and speak with Osiris, and he tells you that we have to complete that Osiris training program in under 5 minutes and 30 seconds. It's very easy to get that done. It is just jumping around, defeating a couple Vex here and there. It's a node that is on Neomuna, so once you go in, you start the process, clear ads as you go through the different areas, and it is, like I said, very quick. Didn't know how long it would take and wasn't even trying. Got it done in about 2.5 minutes, so very easy to complete this little training program. Once that's done, go back to the Polka Pond right there where you collect your fragments, and you will be able to actually grab this weapon and start using it out in the world. And let me tell you, like I said, this thing is absolutely a menace for Strand synergy. So right here is our weapon. For our perks that we have on this bad boy, we have Hammer Forged Rifling for increased range, Flared Magwell for increased stability and reload speed. We also have Combat Grip, so its recoil direction is more vertical. This helps keep it nice and straight for us. Now its exotic perk right here is called Pick Your Poison. So hip firing projectiles will track marked targets, dealing increased body shot damage. When you ADS with this, projectiles have increased velocity and deal extra critical damage to marked targets. Now the way that we mark targets is because of its intrinsic trait, All at Once. Holding down the trigger marks targets within range and reloads multiple bullets, which fires in a burst with increased stability on trigger release. So it does take a little getting used to because it's not hold down the trigger where it fires continuously. It's almost like a fusion rifle where you have to hold it down and then release it. I should say almost more like a grenade launcher where you're letting it come out, and when you release is when the grenade explodes. Very similar to how you have to use this. You hold down the trigger and you will see a little bar called All at Once on the left. It'll charge all the way up and then fire in that burst. It is a 10 round burst, and since there is 20 in the magazine, this clip can fire twice fully with that full charge. So on hitting a marked target with a fully charged burst, it will unravel them. So like I said, you can get about 2 full bursts per clip, being able to unravel multiple enemies, creating all of those little strand projectiles that do damage on enemies. So this thing for ad clear can get absolutely gnarly. Now on top of that, with the aiming, projectiles have greatly increased velocity and deal extra critical damage. This thing with that marked targets is so good in my opinion, because when you suspend an enemy, it's just sitting there and it is easy precision hits with this weapon, so you get that extra damage, and because it is a burst, it'll still unravel them, so it still creates those little projectiles even if it doesn't fully defeat them, but on defeats it does seem to create more. Now the hip fire and that tracking is pretty gnarly for its tracking abilities. You can aim at 3 or 4 different enemies and kind of turn away and start moving along as you're going, and it'll curve pretty heavily with that tracking. So definitely for that ad clear part of it, hit firing with those projectiles, doing the damage will unravel them and do extra body protection, so you're able to ad clear a lot. And then aiming down sights with this weapon is definitely more for those stronger targets in my personal opinion, or if you're shooting your little strand tangles. So overall, this weapon for PvE is very versatile and good with that strand synergy, being able to create tangles and unravel rounds, as well as just unraveling enemies in general with that full burst. It can do ad clear as well as some pretty good DPS, maybe not on bosses, but things like majors, champions, some of those orange bar, yellow bar enemies, not the full bosses, but those nice mini bosses, if you will. So it is a very versatile weapon for PvE, and like I said, in the Crucible, I'm sure you've seen videos around of the crazy tracking ability of this, so throw on some exotic armor that helps with sidearms and get that crazy WRANs, stuff like that inside of the Crucible with your grapple, everything like that. This thing and its hip fire tracking is absolutely broken inside of the Crucible, so we'll see if that gets fixed anytime soon. But this weapon, very fun and very easy to obtain. Bungie, like I said, gave it to us early, so it is very nice to have on us instead of after World's First like it was supposed to. So hopefully this video helped you guys with the little guide with how to obtain it. After getting all your strand fragments for a certain character, you're able to get that quest, little easy 7 steps, then you can go in, shred people inside of the Crucible, as well as have that ad clear strand synergy DPS management of this weapon inside of PvE. So thank you guys again for the crazy support. I truly appreciate it. Hope y'all are having fun inside of Lightfall. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.